SonicMouse.com.
Okay, to students, now we are going to start with nuclear chemistry in one shot. In one shot, we are going to complete almost all topics, right from the basic level to advanced level, and individual topic already given in the channel and separate videos are available. Okay, so let's start with one by one, right from the basic. Okay, first topic is radioactivity. What is the first topic? Radioactivity. Okay, so what is radioactivity? Radioactivity definition is spontaneous disintegration. Radioactivity is the spontaneous disintegration of nuclei. Okay, so here the chapter itself suggests that it is a nuclear chemistry. So only we will talk about the nucleus. Now we are not worried about the electronic configuration. We are not worried about the valency shell. We are not worried about the sharing. We are not worried about the losing, donating, and all. Okay. So we are worried about the stability of the nucleus only. Okay. So whatever the thing happens with the nucleus, that only we are going to start. Okay. Spontaneous disintegration. Spontaneous disintegration of nucleus due to emission of due to emission of radiations. Okay, radiations like alpha, beta, or gamma. Okay, so is called as a radioactivity. That is what called as radioactivity. Okay, and radioactivity, as I told you, it is just a nuclear phenomena. Okay, mainly you should remember one previous question also there. Radioactivity does not depend on, okay, external condition like temperature and pressure. So rate of reaction, chemical kinetics we have studied. In that, chemical rate of reaction depends on pressure, depends on temperature also. Okay, so even though it is related to, somewhat related to nuclear chemistry, but it is independent of external condition like temperature and pressure. Okay, now radioactivity of substance is independent of, not only it is independent of temperature, not only independent of pressure, but also independent of physical state. Okay, same substance like X is a substance which is radioactive. Okay, X is a substance which is a radioactive, but it will be same radioactive in the solid state, it will be same radioactive in the liquid state, it will be same radioactive in the gaseous state, it will be same radioactive in the cationic state, anionic state. Okay, so same substance can be positive ion, substance can be negative ion, substance can be liquid, substance can be gas, substance can be solid, but still it is not going to lose its radioactivity property, or same intensity of radioactive radiations you will get. For example, carbon 14. This is what we are going to use as a tracer element. What we are going to use it? Use it as a tracer element. Okay. So carbon, it is in the molecular form. Still it is radioactive. Carbon in elementary form, radioactive. Carbon in elementary form, but gaseous state. Still it is radioactive. Okay. So any substance which is, let it be in solid state, let it be gaseous state, let it be molecular state, let it be atomic state, it is going to be radioactive. Okay, radioactive is independent of external properties like temperature, pressure. Radioactivity is independent of existence of physical state of the element as solid, liquid, gas, or molecular, ion, or atom. Okay, so this is about the first slide. Okay, this is regarding the very basic slide, but it is going to affect further topics. Okay, so if you are neglecting the from the since beginning, then it is going to affect further topics. Okay, So try to be very, very careful since the beginning. Okay. Next, let us see about the next slide. Okay, next is radiations. There are two, already I told you there are how many types of radiations? Alpha, beta and gamma, and further radiations are also there. And we are going to study disintegration law, radioactive disintegration law also we are going to study. Average life also we are going to study with derivation and very important formulas. Okay. So here radiations are alpha, beta and gamma. Okay. And how they are represented? They are represented with alpha is simply nucleus of helium atom. Many people are not worried about this word. It is not helium atom. Alpha particles are not helium atom. It is similar to nucleus of helium atom because it contains two proton and two neutron. Therefore, mass number of helium is 4 AMU. Okay, mass number of new helium is what? 4 AMU, and atomic number of alpha particle is 2. Therefore, number of proton in alpha particle are 2. Number of neutron are 2. Mass number of nucleus is 2, so sorry 4, and it is nucleus, therefore alpha particle carries 2 units of positive charge. Okay. Next, beta particle in some books or in some exam they are writing beta minus. It does not mean that it is having 2 units of negative charge. Okay, it is represented that 1 unit of negative charge. Okay, so as alpha particle is equivalent to nucleus of helium, beta particle is equivalent to fast moving electron. Beta particle is equivalent to fast moving electron. Okay, see here, this is a contradictory word. Here fast moving electron from nucleus. Okay, you should get doubt that Heisenberg proved that electron cannot exist inside the nucleus, but it is appearing that fast moving electron emitted from nucleus. Okay, how it is emitted from the nucleus, that we are going to study in the subsequent slides. Okay, now gamma is represented with 0, gamma 0. These representations are very important once you study about the displacement law. Okay, and balancing of chemical reaction, types of nuclear chemical reaction. There, these values are going to be very, very helpful. Okay, -1 0 0 comma 0 2 comma 4. Okay, and lot of questions are there in the increasing order and decreasing order. Okay, so when I concerned with the speed, these exact values already we have given in the nuclear chemistry separate lecture. Okay, values I am not giving here with respect to 1 by something, 1 by something, that values already given in the individual lectures. Okay, so speed is increasing order of speed is gamma greater than beta greater than alpha. Okay, same way penetrating power depends on mass. Okay, penetrating power depends on mass as well as size. Okay, penetrating power is inversely proportional to size, inversely proportional to size, inversely proportional to mass. Okay, lesser the mass, higher will be the penetrating power, and directly proportional to speed, directly proportional to what? Speed. Okay, so this is about the directly proportional, inverse proportional, penetrating power. Now all these factors are favorable to gamma particle, because we can see gamma mass is 0 and there is no size, because it is not a physical particle. Actually, we can say gamma rays only. Okay, we can say alpha particle, we can say beta particle, but we cannot say gamma particle because gamma particle have no mass. Okay, it is only a form of the energy. It is only a form of the energy. Next, ionization power. Okay. So ionization power, that means the gas through which it is passing, that is converted into the gas through which it is passing, that is converted into ions, that is called as ionization power. It is not ionization power means energy required to ionize. It is not like that. Okay. Ionizing power means when these radiation pass through certain gas, when these radiation pass through certain gas, they are going to convert that gaseous molecule into ions. That ionization power. Okay. Ionization power is directly proportional to charge. Ionization power is directly proportional to charge and inversely proportional to speed. Inversely proportional to speed. Okay. If a particle or radiation is going with slow speed and got high charge, because of the high charge it is going to ionize more number of molecule, and because of the slow speed it is going to get more time for ionizing. Okay. So these are the ionizing power order, penetrating power order, and speed. Okay. So these are interrelated with each other. I hope all of you understood this. Okay, next one is radiations in electric field. Okay, when you are, suppose this is a radioactive substance. What is this? This is a radioactive substance. This is a radioactive substance. Now, when it is kept over here, here we are giving the negative charge, and here we are giving the positive charge. As usual, radioactive substance is giving alpha, beta, and gamma radiations. Radioactive substance are giving alpha, beta, and gamma radiations. So, these radiations, the radiations which move undeflected in the electric field, the radiations which move undeflected in the electric field are gamma rays, and the radiation which travel towards the negative plate of electric field, they are called as a alpha ray. Okay, that shows that alpha rays are positively charged. Okay, and that's why they are deflected towards the negative plate, and beta rays are negatively charged, therefore they are deflected towards the positive charge, and gamma rays does not have any charge, therefore they move undeflected. Okay, they move what? Undeflected. Is it understood? Okay, very most important part, and 90% of questions are from this part only. Okay, how you will come to know, this chart is regarding the how you will come to know when alpha particle will be emitted, how you will come to know what happens if alpha particle is emitted, or how you will come to know what will be the product. Okay, everything is covered. Understood? So alpha rays will be emitted. Alpha rays will be emitted when atomic number is more than 83. There is no chance or less chance or minimum chance when lower atomic number is there. Okay. Alpha emission is by the particle whose atomic number is less than 83. And then after the alpha emission, N by P ratio will increase. N by P ratio will increase. So you should understand that alpha emission will be there when N by P ratio is less. Okay, when N by P ratio is less, then what with respect to what it is less, that I am going to cover. Okay, there is a stability belt that is also graphically represented. So with the good diagram, so wait for that. Okay, now for the time being, if N by P ratio is less, to increase the N by P ratio and bring back it into the stability zone, to increase the N by P ratio and bring back into stability zone, alpha rays are emitted. Okay, what rays are emitted? Alpha rays are emitted. Okay, because of the alpha ray, this N by P ratio increases. Now, what happens? What is the representation? Suppose a nuclei with atomic number Z and mass number A loses alpha particle. So the daughter nuclei, this is called as what? Daughter nuclei. Okay. daughter nuclei will have mass number reduced by 4. This also further it will be clarified. Okay. And atomic number decreases by what? 2. Okay. Atomic number decreases by 2, mass number decreases by 4. For example, 92 is converted to 90. Atomic number decreased by 2. 238 is reduced to 234. Mass number reduced by 4. This all happens because of the helium nuclei. Okay. Now, same way beta ray. Okay. So, beta ray, what is the condition when N by P ratio is high? Then beta emission will takes place. Then beta emission will takes place. Okay. So because of the beta emission, the N by P ratio which was less, now it's which was high, now it will decrease. Okay. Whenever N by P ratio is less, alpha emission. Whenever N by P ratio is high, then beta emission. How to decide? Is it understood? Whether alpha emission takes place or beta emission takes place, that depends upon the N by P ratio. If present N by P ratio is less and it wanted to increase the N by P ratio, then it will go for the alpha emission. And it is possible by the heavy nucleus like atoms having or nuclei having more than 83 atomic number. Okay. Beta rays are emitted when N by P ratio is very high presently and it wanted to decrease the N by P ratio. Okay. Now, for example, a Y with atomic number Z, mass number A loses beta particle. See here it is -1. Therefore, atomic number will increase. Okay. Now, let us take an example of carbon C12. It is already N by P ratio is how much? 1. So there is no emission at all. Okay. N by P ratio is already stable. So it is non-radioactive. Okay. Now, if you take a carbon 14 as an example. Okay. What as an example? Carbon 14 as example. Okay. If you take carbon 14 as an example, then here N by P ratio is 8 by 6. Okay, it is very high. Now, once it is very high, which is the option available to it, whether beta particle or alpha particle? Which emission is applicable? Which emission is applicable? Okay, sorry, one small print mistake. Here mass number will be same. This 4 will not be there. Okay. Only atomic number increases. Atomic number increases by 1 but mass number remains same. Okay. So whence N by P ratio is 8 by 6, that is nearly 1.25. So it is supposed to be 1. N by P ratio is high. It wanted to decrease the N by P ratio, then it will go for the beta emission. Now let us see if it undergoes beta emission. If it undergoes beta emission, atomic number increased by 1, but mass number remains same. Okay. Now it brought back into, see, initially N by P ratio was how much? 1.25 approximately. Okay. And here, and number of neutrons are 7, number of proton also 7. Again it brought back to the stability zone. Okay. Why radioactivity happens, I think it is clear. N by P ratio will decide whether it will go for the alpha emission and beta emission. Okay. But as I told you, alpha, beta are not only the option, there are some more options also. Okay. What are the other options available and when it will go for such option, that we are going to see in the next slide. Okay. See, let us see about the next slide. Okay. Now let us see some more options and you will decide which option is better. Okay. So let us take 11 sodium 24. Okay. Here 11 means number of protons are 11. Okay. Number of neutrons will be mass number minus atomic number. So 24 minus 11, that is 13. So 13 by 11 it is high. Okay. So whenever N by P ratio is very high, then what is option? Beta emission. Okay. Now I told you Beta emission will be from the nucleus, but electron does not exist in the nucleus. Okay, how it is possible? This is possible because of this equation. Okay, each nucleus and when n by p ratio is high, see number of neutrons are more or not. So that extra neutron will convert into proton and electron. Now electrically neutral, so one positive, one negative, and mass of neutron in the atomic structure in one shot series also I told you mass of neutron is negligibly higher than the proton. So that extra mass will be converted into electron, and charge is already 0 is equal to plus 1 and minus 1. Okay. So how beta particles are emitted, how electrons are emitted from the nucleus, I think it is clear. Now, because of this reaction, see one neutron is decreased and one proton is increased. So earlier there were 13 protons and 13 neutrons and 11 proton, but one neutron is decreased. So number of neutron will be how much? 12 will be the number of neutrons. Okay. Number of proton will be increasing. Okay. And beta emission will takes place. Is it understood? So the if it is whether it will go for this will go for which emission? Beta emission. Okay, sodium 24 will undergo what emission? Sodium 1124 will undergo beta emission. Okay, now let us see about the 1123. Okay, so this will undergo beta emission. Here n by p ratio is nearly 1, not exactly 1, but somewhat more than the 1, but still it is less. Okay, still it is stable. Is it understood? So here it was very much high. It is bearable. It is not that exact value we have to remember. So it is non-radioactive. Okay, what is this? This is non-radioactive. Sodium only I am taking two different condition. Okay, and I am telling you that n by p ratio, if 1 is not universal, it will change from time to time. Okay, here I am saying n by p ratio is 1 point something, but still it is bearable. Okay, here it is n by p ratio is 1 point something, but it is unstable. Here n by p ratio, you can see magic, n by p ratio is 1, but still it is unstable. Okay, now this n by p ratio, what it will go for? Okay, because its atomic number is not above 83. So what are the other options available? This sodium can undergo beta emission. There is no doubt about this. And this sodium does not undergo any type of radiation because it is already in the stability zone or stability belt. Okay. What is that stability belt? I will explain you through the diagram. And what are the options left over this? Actually, it is supposed to be alpha emission. But which rule restricts it for the alpha emission? Which rule restricts it for the alpha emission? So atomic number, it actually heavy nuclei can only go for the alpha emission because alpha is a huge particle, beta is a light particle, gamma is not at all a particle. Okay, so alpha emission can be happen only by the heavy nuclei. So there are other options also available. What are the other options? How it will go for and how the n by p ratio will be changed, that we are going to see now. Okay, gamma emission, alpha, beta, we have understood. Now we are going to understand gamma emission. Okay, gamma emission is possible when energy is very, very high. Okay, so this is not concerned with n by p ratio. This is concerned with only energy. Understood? So once nuclear energy is very high, so in the chemical bonding we have studied, chemical bonding is to decrease the energy and attain stability by attaining octet or duplet configuration. Here also two conditions when either nucleus are unstable due to two reasons, like electronic configuration, here it is n by p ratio, like energy, here also energy factor. Okay, Some nucleus is having excellent N by P ratio, but still it is unstable. So that instability is due to energy. So that extra energy will be decreased, okay, by losing the gamma particle, sorry, gamma rays, okay. Gamma rays are, what are the gamma rays? They are only electromagnetic wave. Okay. In the atomic structure we have studied, EM spectrum contains gamma rays. EM spectrum does not contain alpha. EM spectrum does not contain beta. But EM spectrum contains gamma rays because gamma rays are electromagnetic waves. Gamma rays are electromagnetic wave. Once they are electromagnetic wave, according to Planck's theory, E is equal to hc upon lambda. So that means electromagnetic wave is associated with some energy. So whatever the extra energy, like technetium, okay. See here, technetium before gamma emission also 43, after gamma emission also 43. Before gamma emission also mass number 99, after gamma emission also mass number 99. But what they changed? They changed as energy, okay. So before gamma emission, whatever the technetium we are having, that is having high nuclear energy. That is having what? High nuclear energy. Therefore it is metastable. Metastable means unstable, okay. So some wording also very important. Metastable means unstable. So then what happens? It will go for the extra energy. Suppose it is stable at 1.2 electron volt. For example, I am telling you, okay, 1.2 electron volt, and it is having 1.4 electron volt, okay. So that extra, how much it is? 0.2 electron volt. That extra 0.2 electron volt will be emitted in the form of the gamma radiation, okay. So these two are, now the question will be what these two are called. These two are called as a nuclear isomers, okay, because they don't have atomic number difference, they don't have mass number difference, everything is same, but they are identical. No, they are not identical, they are still isomers. But which type of isomers? Gamma iso, sorry, nuclear isomers, okay. So which particle will create what, that also we are going to study, okay. Alpha emission produces dash, beta emission produces dash, 1 alpha 2 beta produces dash, gamma emission produces dash, that we are going to study. So try to be with this lecture with the full intensity of interest till last. Maintain that attentiveness till last. Okay. Okay. Now let us see about the gamma radiation produces nucleus of the same atom with same atomic number and mass number, but with the lower energy. Therefore, they both are considered as nuclear isomers. Is that clear to all of you? Okay. Now let us see the next slide. Next, other options other than the alpha, beta, and gamma. Okay, very, very important. Positron. Okay, positron emission is possible when N by P ratio is, when N by P ratio is low. Okay, so when was the, where are the other options when N by P ratio is low? What are the other options? We have studied N by P ratio is low. So when N by P ratio is low, the other option was alpha emission. But alpha emission got limitation that it should be heavy nucleus. So for the particles whose N by P ratio is low but not heavy nucleus, like sodium, I told you that we are going to cover here. Okay. So sodium or any smaller nuclei having N by P ratio less will undergo positron emission. Okay. So positron emission will increase the N by P ratio. How it is possible, that we are going to see here. Okay. So it is positron means anti-electron. It is considered as what? Anti-electron. Why it is considered as anti-electron? Because everything is same. mass of positron is equal to mass of electron. Charge of positron is equal to charge of electron. But what is different? Sign convention is different. Okay. See here, mass number is exactly same, y and y dash. But atomic number decreased. If I write here -1, atomic number increases. Okay. Beta emission increases the atomic number. Positron emission decreases the atomic number. Okay. Now, how it is possible? How it is possible for a positron emission? It is just opposite. Okay. Proton will convert into neutron and electron. Okay. So this is carrying positive charge. So that extra positive charge will be carried by the electron. That is, now we don't call it as electron, actually we call it as a positron. Is it understood? For positron emission, dash is converted into dash. What is converted? For positron emission, proton is converted into neutron and electron. Okay. For beta emission, dash is converted from dash to dash. Okay. Then what is that? Neutron is converted into proton and beta particle. Okay. Is it clear? If I write this side and this side, then this will become as a beta particle. If I interchange their position, then it will give beta positron emission. Okay. So positron emission, when it will takes place, nucleus is light nucleus and N by P ratio is low. And what happens due to positron emission? Atomic number decreases by 1, mass number remains same, N by P ratio increases. Okay. Next, electron capture. Okay. It is also called as a K capture. What it is called as? K capture because it accepts electron from the K shell. It accepts electron from which shell? K shell. Okay. So K shell, because of the electron capture. Okay, see here it is positive. This is electron. Now people ask, sir, how the electron of the new K shell, if it is going to the nucleus, what happens to its capacity? Capacity will be fulfilled. Okay. Capacity will be fulfilled by the dropping of electron from the higher energy level to first energy level. Okay. So that energy will be extra. Okay. So that extra energy will be X-ray emission. There is a question in advance, I think 2012 or somewhere around. So why X-ray emission is mandatory in the K capture? Why it is? Because here in the K capture, what happens? Electron from the K shell is accepted by the proton. Okay. So this is the electron from the K shell. This is the proton inside the nucleus. Proton plus electron converted into neutron. So number of neutron will increase, number of proton will decrease, numerator is increasing, denominator decreasing. It results in the total N by P ratio increases. Total N by P ratio, what happens? Increases. Okay. So this is about the K shell. Okay. K capture, I think it is clear. Why X-ray emission is mandatory? Because to complete the ground state as per the half-bow rule. Half-bow rule says that without filling up the 1s, you cannot fill up the 2s. So that what happens, electron from the 2s will come to the 1s. So that extra energy which was possessed by the 2s now will be released in the form of the X-ray emission. If above 2s also some orbitals are there, they will jump back to the 2s. Like that, jumping and jumping will takes place from the valency shell. Ultimately it reaches to the ground state, that is 1s energy level. K capture, is it understood? Now tell me, K capture results in dash of atomic number. Because of the K capture, atomic number increases or decreases? Atomic number, see here. This is the atomic number before K capture. This is the atomic number after K capture. Okay. Okay, this chart is very, very important. I think all of you understood. K capture, positron emission, possibility of the positron emission, everything is very much important. Okay, now let us see the next slide. Okay, next slide. As I told you, I am going to explain the stability with the colored graph. Okay, so people have wrong impression that n by p ratio 1 is always stable. No, okay, 1 is stable only. N by p ratio is 1 is stable only up to certain extent. After that, n by p ratio must increase. Okay, so if this is the line per which is making at a 45 degree. Okay, 45 degree, and on x-axis I am taking protons, on y-axis I am taking what? Neutrons. Okay, so now proton and neutron, if any, suppose I am writing A here, I am writing B here, I am writing C here. Okay, then A is a nucleus. A is a nucleus which is proton rich. What is that? Proton rich nucleus. Okay, so proton rich nucleus means n by p ratio. N by p ratio, protons are more, so n by p ratio is less. So it will try to increase the n by p ratio so that it can join into the stability zone. Understood? So let us take to increase the n by p ratio, what are the options? Suppose here A is there. A is proton rich. If it is, it lies below the stability zone. Below the stability zone means it is proton rich. It is proton rich means denominator is very much high. Okay. So N by P ratio is less. N by P ratio is less. So it will try to stabilize itself by increasing the N by P ratio. To increase the N by P ratio, options are, if it is a heavy nucleus, then it will go for the alpha emission. If it is a lighter nuclei, then it will go for the positron emission or K capture, whichever is comfortable. Okay. Now let us take the C. It is already inside the stability zone. Therefore, it is going to be non-radioactive. Non-radioactive. Okay. Now, if it is above the stability zone, okay, if it is above the stability zone, then it is above the step n by p ratio, neutron rich. So neutrons are more. So n by p ratio will be very, very high. So it wanted to join back to the stability zone. Okay. So then what it will do? It will go for the decrease in n by p ratio. Okay. To decrease the n by p ratio, there is only one option. What is that? Beta emission. Okay, so beta emission. Now is it understood? That depending on its position, this is only one way. There are a lot of other ways also, that also we are going to study now. Okay. Okay, here it has been found that for a nuclear to be stable, N by P ratio should lie between 1 to 1.5. Okay, exactly 1 is not required. Some cases it is 1.5 also required. Okay, on plotting a graph of number of neutron and number of proton, that we are stable, the stable nuclear lie will in a well-defined belt are called as stability belt. That blue color portion I told you in the previous called the stability belt. Okay, is it clear now? Now let us see about the next graph. Sorry, next slide. Okay, next it depends, as I told you, up to what it is. See, a nuclei with atomic number 20. Okay, that is calcium. We have N by P ratio must be close to 1. Okay, and that is 45 degree. Okay, with increase in atomic number, the graph becomes curved and slope increases gradually. This is the slope, like this it is moving. slope increases gradually, which means that number of proton increase, more number of neutron required to hold them together. If the question is why not it is straight line, it is like this because here atomic number increases, then it require more number of neutron to hold them together. Okay. So nuclei with the N by P ratio lying above or below stability belt are unstable. Okay. So what they will go, and these all already I have explained when they will go for K capture, alpha, beta. Okay. So this is about the from the stability zone. Understood? Now let us see the next way of explaining the stability. Okay, so with increase in atomic number beyond 20, the nuclei below the stability will go for the beta emission. Okay, or K capture or N by P ratio increases, and above the stability belt being neutron rich beta emission. This is positron emission. Okay, K capture, and this is beta emission, so that it can come back into the stability zone. Is that clear? Okay, next, up to Z up to 10, N by P ratio must be nearly 1:1. Okay, up to 20, if N by P ratio is nearly 20, then sorry, up to 20 N by P ratio is nearly 1. But if atomic number is more than 20, N by P ratio should be more than. See, this is the value. Okay. Bismuth 83, more number of neutron required. If you calculate here, N by P ratio is 1.52, but stable, but is stable also. Okay. This is very important objective. Largest N by P ratio, but it is still stable. This is having the bismuth 83, 209 is the stable nuclei with the largest N by P ratio. Iron is the highly stable nucleus. Iron have the highly stable nucleus. That is also important. Iron is having highly stable nucleus. Okay. Now let us see the next one. Okay, there is another way of explaining the stability of the nucleus, even and odd rule. Okay, where according to this rule, either number of neutrons should be even or number of protons should be even. If both are even, then it is very stable. Okay, odd even principle. So if number of neutrons are even, number of protons are even, we found that 150 nucleus with both even, 155 nucleus with both even are highly stable. That is maximum. See here, these are also stable. 55 nucleus are stable just because they have even number of neutron. 15 nucleus are stable because they have even number of proton. 5 nucleus are unstable because they have both odd neutron and odd proton. Okay, this is also one way of explaining the instability. According to odd even principle, a nucleus with even number of neutron or even number of proton or both are considered to be stable. Are considered to be stable. Is it understood? Now let us see the next one. Magic number. This is another way of explaining the stability. Okay. What is the magic number? But there, as it is told, magic number is only explanation. There is no reasoning for it. Okay. Any nucleus with the magic number. Oh, sorry. Any nuclei with magic number. Any nuclei with magic number. That means with 2, 8, 20, 28, 50. But why they are stable? That reason they could not give. Okay. Odd even principle, magic number, and stability belt. All the three are explaining about the stability. Okay. Helium is stable because nucleons are 4. Okay, but protons are how many? 2. Either of the nucleus or a neutron or proton should be 2, 8 or 20 like that. Okay, here it is 8. Okay, so because protons are 8. So any nucleus with 2 protons, 2 neutrons, 8 neutrons, 8 protons are stable. These numbers are called as a magic numbers. These numbers are called as what? Magic numbers. Okay. Now let us see the next one. Group displacement law. Very, very important. That the chart I told you, alpha, beta, gamma, when it will takes place, what will be the effect, that what they are going to form. There also there are some MCQs are there. So that we will discuss. But group displacement law is given by Soddy and Fajan. Okay. So when one alpha emission takes place, okay, according to the group displacement law, the new formed nuclei will occupy two position left, one alpha, two position left in the pair periodic table, one beta, one beta, then one position right in the periodic table. Only two things you will remember. Don't require much important but easiest. Okay. Alpha emission will result in a daughter nuclei which lie 2 units left on the periodic table. Okay. Suppose this is a parent nuclei. If it loses alpha particle, that daughter nuclei is going to stay at 2 places left. Whereas if the same particle loses, same nuclei loses beta rays, then this particle is going to be one on the right side. Okay, this is one on the right side, these two are on the left side. Is it understood? Group displacement law. And based on this, there will be numericals to calculate number of alpha particle, number of beta particle. So that we will be doing in the question session are already done in the recorded lectures of nuclear chemistry individually. Okay. Now very, very important point. Due to beta particle, what are formed? Isobars are formed. Due to beta particle, isobars are formed. Due to alpha particle, isodiaphers are formed. These are direct objective. Okay. Due to emission of one alpha and two beta, isotopes are formed. Okay. So this is due to a beta particle, the product and parent nuclei will be isobar. Due to alpha emission, daughter nuclei and parent nuclei will be isodiaphers. Due to alpha and beta, two beta and one alpha, isotopes are formed. Okay. Now let us see about the next slide. So what are isotopes? This is very simple. Isotopes are anything which have same number of proton. Isobars are same mass number. Isotones are same number of neutrons. These are the some examples. Examples C6, C614, C612, C614 and 14. 2 helium 4, 1 H3, tritium. Okay. See here 3 minus 1, number of neutrons are 2, 4 minus 2, number of neutrons are 2. So you may be surprising that why it is 1H3. This is what? Tritium. Okay. Clear? Okay. Now let us see the next one. Next one is isodiaphers. This is important. Okay. Isodiaphers have same n by p difference. Actually, this n by p is sometimes called as a isotopic excess mass. Isotopic excess mass. Okay, n by p ratio. So like 19 and 10. So number of neutrons will be how much? 10. 10 this n by p, n minus p. Say then coming to the isosters, same number of atoms, and this is actually about the molecule. Isoster is about the molecule, same number of atoms and same number of electron. See, N2 have two atoms, CO also have two atoms. N2 have 28 electron, CO also have 28 electron. N2 and CO2 44, 44. Three atoms, three atoms. Okay. So this is about the isosters. Okay, now let us see the next slide. Very important and numericals framed on this representation. Representation is very, very important. Okay. Artificial nuclear reaction. This bracket, if they write, I will give you sufficient example for them. Okay. Alpha and proton. That means the nucleus, one of the nucleus is directed or collided with alpha, and as a result protons are emitted. Okay, right side is emitted particle, left side is striking particle. Okay, so what is that I am going to explain now with sufficient number of example, considering that mostly questions will be coming on this one. Okay. Okay, now let us see. Specific nuclei, when hitting with striking particle, will produce a new stable nuclei, also loses some particle. Like here, specific nuclei is what? Nitrogen. Okay, it is actually stable. It is non-radioactive, but it is made radioactive by striking with the particle. This is called as a artificial radioactivity. Okay, the stable nucleus is converted into unstable by projecting them by colliding with the highly moving particle, that is called as a striking particle. Okay, so helium 4 is a striking particle. Okay, now the nuclei which we are going to get is 8 oxygen 17. Apart from this, we will get emitted particle of proton. Okay, now this type of artificial transmutation is called as alpha p type. Alpha represents striking particle, P represents emitted particle. Okay, or emitted radiation also. Like 11, sorry, actually it is sodium. Okay, like 11 sodium 23 is striked with neutron. Striking particle here it is neutron, and emitted particle, actually we cannot say emitted particle, emitted radiation is gamma radiation. New nuclei which we are getting will be 11 sodium 20. Oh shit. Actually, this is also print mistake. It is magnesium. Okay. 12 magnesium 23. Okay. This is a print mistake. Same way D and P, deuterium and proton. So deuterium is projecting or striking particle on the aluminium, and it is giving with the proton, that is 1H1. Okay. Same way proton alpha particle. This is another example of proton and alpha particle. Okay. Is that clear? Okay. Shall we go for the next slide? Okay. Next slide is here. Nuclear fission and fusion. Okay, very important topic, direct objective. Only I am covering direct objective topics here. Okay, nuclear fission and fusion both process large amount of heat evolved. What is the common thing? Common thing is large amount of energy will be evolved. But what is the principle behind that? Some mass is converted into energy. Okay, let us take nuclear fission. It is a process where heavy nuclei splits into large nuclei. Okay, large number of nuclei, small nuclei but large various of nucleus. Okay, so this is a heavy nuclei and it is splitting into large number of two or more than two nuclei. If it is splitting, then it is called as a nuclear fission. For that, we are colliding with the neutrons, fast moving neutron. Okay, so atomic bomb is based upon the nuclear fission only. Now let us see some detailed explanation. Okay, detailed explanation about the nuclear fission. The breaking of heavy nucleus into two or more fragments of comparable masses with release, this is most important, with release of tremendous energy is called as nuclear fission. What it is called as? Nuclear fission. The most typical fission reaction occurs when slow moving neutron strikes 92 neutron to uranium 235. Okay, so this very important number of neutron mega electron volt MeV. Okay, 92 uranium 235 when striking with the neutron will produce, see, comparable mass nearly same. Okay, barium and krypton. This is one example of nuclear fission. Now let us see the next one. Important objective will be coming in the next slide. What is critical size? Okay, what is chain reaction? That we are going to cover. If more than one of the neutrons, how many neutrons are produced? Three neutrons are produced in the previous reaction. If more than three neutron out of the three, if more than one neutron produced in the above fission are capable of further reaction, okay, further they will go and collide with some more new uranium. Okay, the provided if uranium is 235 is available. Okay, that's why there should be some fixed amount. Okay, above that is very dangerous. Then number of fission taking place will be successive, keep on undergoes. Okay, and the energy will be released at a very brisk rate and generate series of fission. This is called as a chain reaction. Okay, chain reaction, how many conditions are there? Two conditions. Okay, more than one neutron of the three neutrons should be able to collide with some more uranium 235. For that, some minimum quantity is required. Okay, if it is available, then only it is possible. So that available quantity is called as a critical size. Chain reaction takes place only if the size of the fission material is greater than certain size called as a critical size. Critical size and chain reaction, both are, is it understood? Okay. Now let us see the next one. Okay, if, another fixed terms, these are the important terms. If number of fission given interval of time goes on increasing. Okay, actually first will give you, see, first fission, one neutron is giving what? Three neutrons. Okay, sorry, one. Okay, so at the same time you are getting three neutron. If this will go and collide, then it is going to give three, and it is going to give three, and it is going to give three. So how many neutrons are there? Nine. But the fraction of time will be same. Number of neutron will be same. So because of this, that reaction is going to be uncontrolled chain reaction. Okay. So this is the basis of atomic bomb. If you are not able to control the neutrons emitted in each and every step, that is going to be uncontrolled chain reaction. Uncontrolled chain reaction is a part of the uncontrolled chain reaction is the basis of the atomic bomb. If you are able to control, then it is called as a atomic reactor. What it is going to be? Atomic reactor. Okay. Okay, the same reaction out of the three neutrons coming out in each and every step, if we are able to, if we are able to manage them, fast moving electrons are either absorbed. This is very important. Okay, absorbed by certain substances called moderator. What is the example of moderator? Heavy water or absorbs. Okay, then otherwise boron rods, control rods. Okay, then the number of regions can be controlled, then it is called as a controlled chain reaction and it is used in the nuclear reactor. That is the difference between the nuclear reactor and nuclear bomb. Okay. Okay, next one, nuclear fission, the process in which two or more nuclei combine, just opposite. There one nucleus is splitting into more than one, but here more than one nuclei, but small nuclei giving big nuclei, okay? But still, what is the common? Releases tremendous amount of energy, okay? That is called as a nuclear fission. But there are two common things in the nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. What are the two common things? They both releases tremendous amount of energy. Release of energy is one common thing. And one more common thing, they both convert mass into energy. According to which rule? Energy Einstein mass energy equivalence. Okay. So the sum of the masses before fusion is more than the sum of the masses after the fusion. Okay, so that is called as a mass defect. What it is called as? Mass defect. Okay, so mass defect we will be substituting in mc square, then you will get the energy. Here this is what? Mass defect. Okay, so that mass defect, it is converted into this much energy. Okay, see, small mass defect, but when it is multiplied with c square, the energy liberated is going to be very, very higher. Okay, that is the principle of the nuclear fusion. Okay, in fusion, mass defect will be converted to higher energy. Okay, now let us see the next slide. This is what where we require to cover. For the fusion to occur, there are conditions. The nuclei are brought closer to each other. The distance is 10 to the power of minus 14 meter. This is possible only when high temperature. Why we cannot create that nuclear fusion in our lab or on the earth? That is because of this reason. Okay, we have to bring, for fusion we have to bring them closer to the distance of 10 to the power of minus 14. But at this distance, repulsive forces are very, 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 very higher. So for overcoming that repulsive forces, we have to force them with a high temperature, and that temperature can also be provided only at the sun. Okay, in fact, the source of sun and other stars energy is nuclear fusion. So that much closeness is possible only at high pressure and high temperature, which is only found in the sun and stars. Star and sun are the source of energy because of fusion reaction only. Okay, now let us see the next one. Very important topic for the advanced examination, laws of radioactive decay or radioactive decay. Okay, formula derivation I am going to cover, so try to understand carefully. Okay, Some more topics I will cover. Some more very important topic like related to the mass defect and important differences that also I'm going to cover them. So loss of radioactive decay. Disintegration of radioactive substance is random and spontaneous. Okay. It is not that after suppose A, B, C, D and E, F, these are the nuclei arranged E, F, G, H like this. Okay. It is not that this nuclear disintegration takes place after that B will takes place. It is not like that. Okay. A can disintegrate randomly, G can disintegrate. After that, F can disintegrate or E can disintegrate, then D can disintegrate. This is called as a randomness. It is not that series wise. After A, B will disintegrate. After B, C will disintegrate. It is not like that. That is the random meaning. And second thing, it is spontaneous. You need not to give activation energy for reaction to start. It will start on its own and occurs in one direction. Okay. Radioactive decay is purely nuclear process. It is not concerned with electrons at all. Okay. Independent of physical and chemical condition. Is this understood? These are the few points which we are going to use in the derivation. Now we are going to see the next slide. Okay, next slide is about the derivation. So before derivation, chemical kinetics also involved here. Radioactive decay follows first order kinetics. So whatever the derivations, whatever the formulas we have done in the first order kinetics of chemical kinetics with slight modification, it is not entirely same. With slight modifications, we are going to use it here. Okay. The rate of decay is proportional to number of undecayed nucleus. There it was concentration. Okay. Rate of reaction is directly proportional to concentration of reactant. But modification, what is the modification? Is it understood? Rate of decay is proportional to number of undecayed nuclei. Okay, at the time of T. So d by d dn is the number of nuclei disintegrate in the time T. So these many nucleus are disintegrating in this much time. Then it is called as a rate of decay. Rate of decay is number of nuclei disintegrating in 1 unit time. Okay. If it is 10 minutes, then we will divide it by the 10. Then you will get the number of nuclei disintegrating in 10 minutes. Okay. So dn by dt. So according to, as I told you, first order kinetics. Okay. In first order kinetics, it is the reactant. So negative sign is required. And here, there we use rate constant. Here we will use lambda. Lambda in this is equal to the rate constant of chemical kinetics. That is the differences. Okay. And N, there what we used is as a concentration. Let us take, suppose A gives product. This is according to which I am telling you. According to chemical kinetics, I am telling you A gives product. Okay. Then rate of reaction R is equal to K into concentration of A to the power of 1. Okay. Now here R can be written as minus dA by dt. Okay. So here that minus is same, but I written it on the right side. Okay. Now concentration is not used. This concentration is replaced with the number of first replacement, first difference. If you study a comparatively, then you need not to worry separately numericals of the nuclear chemistry. First thing, we will not write concentration here. Square bracket represents concentration. Here concentration is not represented. Here number of nuclei are represented. Okay. First thing, dt is common in both of them. And rate constant is replaced with lambda. Here concentration of A is leftover concentration. In the formula it is A minus X. Okay. So there was a numerical people substituted A value and got the wrong option. Okay, that is point 1 is the actual answer. People got it point 2 just because of the small concept here. What you have to substitute, A minus X we have to substitute. Okay, not A. Understood? A is the initial concentration. A minus X is leftover concentration. Rate of a first order reaction directly proportional to leftover concentration. Okay. Same way here, rate of disintegration direct proportional to undecayed nuclei. Okay. Now let us see the next slide. Okay, next slide is about the derivation again. Rate of decay is undecayed particle minus dN by dt. This already I told you, but in terms of the concentration. Now this seal this carefully. N0 is the number of nuclei at the time of 0. Time 0 means initial. Nt is the number of nuclei after some time. Then integrated rate law, integrated first order rate law we have. What is that we are going to see here. So in the next slide, wherever I wrote it as a NT, that means number of undecayed nuclei. Okay, N0 is initial nuclei. Then how to write formula that we are going to see now. So this is the exponential form of the integrated rate law. Nt is equal to N0 into e to the power of minus. There, this I think already you have seen. There it was A is equal to concentration of A is equal to concentration of A0 or initial concentration e to the power of minus kT. Okay. This is the exponential form of the first order rate of reaction. Now it is modified after application of the log on both sides. It is now converted this way. Okay. But we use 10 base logarithm. So it is converted to 2.303. Okay. So 2.303, if I cross multiply this here, then what you will get, disintegration constant lambda is equal to 2.303 upon at the time t log n0 and here nt. Okay, again and again I am repeating, don't make this mistake. Nt is number of leftover. Okay, this can be written as n0 minus nx also. Okay, what is x? It is consumed and it is initially, it is leftover. This is nt is leftover, n0 is initially. So out of N0, NX molecule consumed are disintegrated to give NT molecules. Okay. Is that clear now? Now this formula we are going to use, and average life also we are going to study. Some more important topics also we are going to study like this. Okay. RT exponential. Okay. Now let us see the next slide. Half-life and average life. First, let us see about the half-life. Half-life is the same thing like half-life of the first order kinetics. The period of radioactive substance to defined as time in which one half of the radioactive substance is disintegrated. Only there it is reacted, it is disintegrated. Okay. Now N0 is the number of nuclei at time t is equal to 0. When time t is equal to t half, nucleate decayed will be half of the n0 by 2. Okay. So nt is equal to n0 to the power of n0 into e to the power of minus lambda t. Now after that time, leftover will be how much? N0 by t. When I write t as a t half. Okay. Leftover will be n0 by 2. So on simplification, you will get 0.693 by lambda. Okay, T half. On simplification, what you will get? 0.693 by lambda. Okay, same formula 693 by K. And very, very important direct question. Number of half-lives will be given. Okay. Number of half-lives. This will be used in the carbon dating. Okay. Number of half-lives is equal to T upon T half. Understood? Now let us see the average life. Or sometimes it is called as a mean life also. Okay, mean life is the radioactive substance equal to sum of lifetimes of all atoms divided by number of all nuclei calculated as follows. Okay, so this is the here dn. This is about the total number of nuclei. This is one nuclei. Okay, this is disintegration constant. So the life of these nucleus does equal to. Okay, so this is total. This is one half, one particle life. Like that, how many into t? Okay, average life is equal to total life of. Suppose one nucleus is disintegrating after 1 second. Another nucleus is disintegrating after 10 seconds. Another nucleus is disintegrating after 3 seconds. Okay. So total life of the nuclei will be 1 plus 10 plus 3 divided by 3. Okay. So simply direct formula will be average life or mean life is denoted with what? Tau. Okay. It is reciprocal of rate constant in chemical kinetics, reciprocal of disintegrated constant in nuclear chemistry. Okay. Okay, students. Now, next topic is application of radioactivity. We have studied the types of parts of radioactivity, integrated rate law of the radioactivity. Now, it is uses or applications of radioactivity. Okay. First thing, it is used in different areas. Okay. Some important application of radioisotopes are it is used as a tracer element. Tracer element means for the reaction mechanism. Suppose this is a carboxylic acid, okay, when it is treated with alcohol. Now the ester, see, the oxygen is available in the ester, oxygen is also available in the water. So, but we want that this oxygen of the alcohol, where it is went, whether it is in the water, whether it is in the uh, ester, we don't know. In that condition, we will take this radioactive, whatever blue star is there, that is a radioactive isotope. Okay, radioisotope. Then that radioisotope is added to the ester. Then that ester plus, carboxylic acid plus alcohol will react with each other to form the ester. Now, here this, if this is radioactive, that means alcohol's OH is with the oxygen of the alcohol is with what? Ester, not with water. If it is water, it is available with water, then water coming out will start emitting the radioactive radiations. Okay. So like that, we can find out the mechanism. That mechanism finding out is called as a tracer. Okay. It is also used to find out the leaks in the underground pipelines. Okay. Suppose there is a oil refinery and it is producing some oil somewhere else. Okay. And consumer are in somewhere in towns. Okay. So, but there will be underground pipelines. So in that oil, some radioactive isotope will be sent. So wherever the path of oil, that way will be eliminated by the radioactive radiations. And other part, suppose if it is leaking here, then the number of radiations coming out will be stationary and the number of rays will be more. So this is the way how we will remember, we will identify where the leak is there. That is called as a tracer element. Okay. The first application of tracer element, now I think it is clear to you. Okay. Now let us see the next application. Let us see the next application. Okay, second, age of mineral rocks. Lot of people are having same wrong concept. Age means immediately they will come to know that rare carbon dating. It is not like that. Okay, for the mineral rocks, for the rocks we use helium dating. What we use? Helium dating. Okay, for the rocks, helium dating. For trees and all living things, if it is there, then only we can use the carbon dating. Okay, it involves determination of either species formed during a radioactive decay of a residual activity. Okay, helium will be radioactive. Okay, so present he same specimen, how much radioactivity is emitting, old specimen how much radioactivity is emitting, that is alpha particle it is emitting. So that depending on the quantity of alpha particle, that is helium particles left over, will give you idea about the age. That is called as a helium dating. What it is called as? Helium dating. Okay. Now let us see the next part. Then third part is everybody known to you. I think you are also aware of it. That is carbon dating. Okay. In the carbon dating, we will identify how much of the carbon is radioactive in the living thing and that old object, living object. Okay. With the help of the difference in intensity of the radioactive radiations, we can find out the age of the mineral, age of the tree. Okay, that is called as radiocarbon dating. I think it is all clear to all of you. I hope all of you enjoyed this nuclear chemistry one shot. If you got any problem anywhere, I am giving the link in the description box about the each and every topic is separately, exclusively covered. So that individual topic you can go through. Some questions also given. You can check your preparation with the questions explained. Okay. All the best. Do well in your examination. Come back with the good marks and prepare for the next weekend examination or next examination. All the best. See you. Bye bye from Beach Camp.